Hello everyone, today we are going to start with the very first chapter from your half yearly syllabus. The name of the chapter is Along the Yellow Brick Road. Okay, what is the name of the chapter? Along the Yellow Brick Road. So those who don't have any help at home, this is for them. I'm going to read the entire story for you all and I will try to explain you certain things from this particular story. So those who are listening to me, kindly sit with a pencil and your book open right in front of you so that you can underline the words or lines probably that I'm going to share and discuss in this video. Okay, so you have to mark the lines, okay, important lines or important words which I will be discussing here in this video. So let's just start. Okay, many stories and films are set in fantasy world. So what is the meaning of fantasy? In fantasy, the word fantasy is not a very difficult word. I hope you are familiar with this word. The word fantasy means a world of imagination where where objects like dragonflies and flying carpets and fairies are involved. Okay, it's not a part of real world, a world of imagination which has nothing to do with with reality. So this is a fantasy world, okay, where with a world which probably comes in your dreams, your dream world, okay, where you dream to be a fairy or you dream to be a unicorn or a dragon, you're fighting with somebody else. So this is called a fantasy world, a world of imagination which has nothing to do with harsh reality. Okay, these are usually unusual places that do not exist in reality. As I have already told you, fantasy world means these are the worlds which exactly do not exist. Okay, they are full of magical beings and objects like dragons, flying carpets, and fairies. Okay, so they are the magical beings and objects. Okay, they are the fairies who have the supernatural powers. They are the dragons who are fighting with some extra natural supernatural powers. So let's just start with the story. Before I begin the story, let me just tell you something. This piece is taken from the book The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. It is a story about a young girl called Dorothy who is carried away by a storm to the magical land of Oz. There she has many adventures on her journey down the yellow brick road. Along the way, she made some strange new friends. Among them are a talking scarecrow and a tin man. So, this particular story is based on the book The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I will try to share a cartoon video of it. I hope you all will like it. I will try to do that. So, a film is also made on the basis of this particular story. Okay, so this wonderful Wizard of Oz, and this is actually a part of it that we are going to read. The main character here is a young girl whose name is Dorothy, okay, who is carried away by a storm to the magical land of Oz. Okay, so Dorothy is the main character here, which is said that due to a cyclone or due to a storm he has been carried away. He belonged to some other place, but due to a storm she has been carried away to a magical land of Oz. Okay, so now where she is staying, she is staying into a magical land of Oz. As I have told you earlier, this particular story is basically about a fantasy world, okay, where nothing is real, everything is part of your imagination. So you have to increase your imagination level. You cannot just connect it with reality. Again, I am telling you, this is a part of imaginative world where you cannot connect it with anything that has to deal with reality. There she has many adventures on her journey down the yellow brick road. Along the way, she meets some strange new friends. So, among them are the talking scarecrow. So, a scarecrow, you know who is a scarecrow? So, a scarecrow probably he comes across with few friends. Okay, in this fantasy world, into the magical land of Oz, he comes across few friends. One of them is a scarecrow, and another one is Tin Man, a man probably made of tin. If you watch the video which I will share, you will understand what do you mean by a scarecrow, a talking scarecrow, and a tin man. Okay, let's just start with the story. One sunny morning, Dorothy and Scarecrow came. This particular story is just a part that you are going to read, but the video which will be sharing with you, talks about something more than the story talks about. So don't be confused. Okay, this story is just a portion that you are reading, but it has got something more to do. Okay, you have lot of things before and after the story. You are just reading a part of it. I repeat again, this story is just a part of it. So the video will actually talk more information, will give you more information about this story. You might not be able to connect with it, but it is a part of this particular story only. So please don't get confused with that cartoon which I will share with you. Okay. One sunny morning, Dorothy and Scarecrow came by a beautiful clear water spring. Dorothy bathed, drank, and ate a light breakfast there while Scarecrow looked on thoughtfully. Okay, so it's a sunny morning, and Dorothy and Scarecrow, one of his friends, the Scarecrow, the talking Scarecrow, they came to a beautiful water spring. You know what is a spring? A pool created by fresh running water. Okay, that is called a spring. Okay, Dorothy bathed, drank, and ate a light breakfast. So, as you know, Dorothy is a human being, it's a human character. She's a girl, so she needs a bath, she needs to drink, she needs to eat something. So as a human being has to do, all human beings, they need to eat, bath, and drink. So as to Dorothy also, while Scarecrow looked on thoughtfully. So Scarecrow was looking something very thoughtful, thinking carefully and quietly. So what was the Scarecrow doing? The Scarecrow was probably thinking. Okay, watching her, he said, "I must be. It must be troublesome to be made of flesh. You must always worry about where to sleep, eat, and drink. However, you always have brains, and it must be wonderful to be able to think properly." So the Scarecrow, okay, this is a Scarecrow, so he does not have a brain, but what is he thinking after looking into Dorothy? He is probably thinking that Dorothy is so lucky. Why he thinks so? Because Dorothy is having a brain, and what will a brain help you to do? A brain will probably help you to think properly. Okay, to think properly. So he's saying the Scarecrow probably is looking at Dorothy, and he's thinking that, oh, you are made of flesh. So human body, we all know that we are made of flesh and blood. So we need what? We need food, we need sleep, we need a proper place to sleep, we need a proper food to eat, and we need water to drink time to time. If we run out of anything, we will fall sick, and we cannot just work out properly. Our human body is like a machine. We need food, we need water, and we need proper sleep to survive. So this was the thing that was said by the Scarecrow. Okay, and he was very jealous of this. Probably, maybe he was thinking thoughtfully that how it's so wonderful that a girl like Dorothy is having a brain, and he thinks that she is so lucky. Okay, Dorothy smiled and was about to reply when suddenly she heard a deep groan from somewhere nearby. What is the meaning of groan? A long, deep sound made because of pain. Okay, so groaning is actually a sound that you make when you hurt yourself. Okay, when you're badly injured, what happens? You start shouting, yelling, you're out of pain. So that is called groaning. When your body starts paining due to some reasons, that is called groaning. This is the sound that you make. Okay, so this is how it works. Suddenly when they were talking, when they were interacting, they come across, they get to hear a groaning sound somewhere nearby. So what was that? She asked, surprised. I do not know, but we can go and see, said Scarecrow. So after hearing to this groaning sound, they were quite surprised. They started searching for it. From where did this noise come from? So Dorothy asked Scarecrow that where is this noise coming from? But there asked him where is the Scarecrow coming from. So he said, where is this noise coming from? The Scarecrow said. Soon they heard another groan. The sound seemed to come from behind. They walked towards the forest and suddenly discovered something shining in the sunlight between the trees. Okay, so what happened? They started searching after hearing to the groaning sound. They started looking for that person. So after They walked towards the forest and suddenly discovered something shining in the sunlight between the trees. Okay, so what did they find? They found something was shining between the trees. Okay, they came close to the spot and found it was a man made entirely of tin with an axe in his hand. His hand, arms, and legs were fitted to the body. Okay, so they come across Tin Man. Why was he named Tin Man? Because the entire man was made out of tin, and he was holding with an axe in his hand. He was holding a axe. You know what is an axe? It is an instrument to cut probably the brick, the barks of the trees. To cut woods and all that. So he was a tin man, and he was holding a axe in his hand. His head, arms, and legs were fitted to the body. Okay, so his head, arms, and legs were fitted to the body, but he stood as if he could not stir at all. Dorothy and Scarecrow looked at him amazed. Okay, so what happened? But he stood as if he could not stir at all. Okay, so he was looking very he was groaning. Okay, so what happened? He was groaning and he could not understand why was he groaning. So he was standing in one fixed place. Stir means move, and he stood as if he could not move at all. He was standing in one place and he could not move. Okay, because his whole body was spinning. And the Scarecrow and the Dorothy, they looked at him in a very amazing manner, that what is this man doing, and probably why is he groaning so much. Okay, so it was you who was groaning, exclaimed Dorothy. Now after seeing this tin man, Dorothy, he asked that man that, okay, so it's you who was groaning means who was crying out of pain. So yes, said Tin Man. Now the Tin Man exclaims, yes, it is me only. It was me only who was groaning out of pain. I've been groaning from more than a year now, but no one has heard me or come to help me. So now the Tin Man informs her that it has been almost a year that she is groaning here, but nobody bothered to help him. So, what can I do for you? Dorothy asked softly, for she was moved by and his sad voice. So Dorothy felt very sad about it. So she wanted to help that man who was groaning, that teen man. So she asks him, "What can I do to help you out?" "You could get an oil can and oil my joints," answered Tin Man. So what did she say? She said that he said rather the Tin Man said that you can gather some oil, you can arrange for some oil, and you can help me to oil my joints so that I can start working properly again. They are rusted so badly, and I can't move them at all. If I am well old, I shall be all right again. If I'm well oiled, so it is full of rust. The Tin Man then says that, okay, Dorothy, if you can just arrange for some oil for me, I can start working. It is full of rust and I cannot just move my body at all. I am groaning out of pain. It is paining a lot. I shall be all right again. He pointed at a hut at the edge of the forest and added, "You will find an oil can on my cottage shelf." So now he points out, this thin man points out to them a small hut, his hut, where he tells them that he will find an oil can there, and in my cottage shelf, and you can get that oil can to me so that I can just remove the rust from my body. Why there was rust in his body, class? This is something very important, because it is a tin man, and you will find that things that is made out of tin often gets rusted. Okay, from time to time you have to oil it. Unless you oil them properly, it will catch rust. Okay, it will get hold of rust easily. So the man who was made of tin, he was in need of some oil. Why oil? Because it was a tin man. He was not a man made of flesh and blood. Again, you must be wondering why Tin Man, because I have told you before that this is actually a fantasy world stories where nothing is real, everything is based on your imagination. So don't get confused, okay? Dorothy rushed off immediately and returned shortly with the can. She then asked, "Where should I start?" "Oil my neck first." So this is the important line which you can mark. If you are listening to me, take a pencil and start marking. So which are the areas, you might get questions from here, that which are the areas from where she started oiling the Tin Man. Okay, firstly he oiled his neck. Okay, so this is important. First she has tried to oil his neck part. As Dorothy began oiling it, Scarecrow held his tin head and moved it gently from side to side till it worked freely. Okay, so first it was his neck, and what was the Scarecrow doing? The Scarecrow was also trying to help the Tin Man. He was trying to move his head gently so that his body and his neck starts working freely, because it was full of rust. Tin Man now gave a sigh of relief. Sigh of relief means he was a bit relieved after having some oil. Okay, so this is great comfort, he said. Now the Tin Man said that this is a great comfort. I am bit relieved now. After this, if you oil the joints of my legs, I shall be able to walk again. So Dorothy and Scarecrow oiled his legs till they moved easily. So this is an important part. Please mark if you are listening to me. This is an important part. After the neck, it's the legs now that they are trying to oil. Okay, so the Scarecrow and Dorothy, they have now started oiling his legs. Okay, after the neck, now it's the legs that they are going to oil. The man felt grateful and politely thanked them for their help. "I might have stood here forever if you had not come along," he said. "So you certainly have saved my life. How did you happen to be here?" So now, after oiling the legs, the man who was groaning, the Tin Man, now he was feeling great and he politely thanked them. Whom did he thank? He thanked the Scarecrow and Dorothy. Please mark this entire paragraph. What did he say after? How did he thank Dorothy and the Scarecrow? "I might have stood here." What did she say as a thank you note? He said that he would have stood there for the entire life if they would not have come there to save his life. So this is how he thanked them. Dorothy replied, "We are on our way to the Emerald City to see the Great Oz." So this is also an important line. You can mark this line. Where were they going? They were on their way to Emerald City. Why were they going to the Emerald City? To see the Great Oz. This is important line, very important line. Please mark it. If you're listening to me, please mark it. Where were they? They were in the yellow. Where was the Great Oz? The Great Oz was in the yellow brick road led us to this place. Okay, so the yellow brick road and the Emerald City, where were they going? They were going to the Emerald City to meet whom? To meet the Great Oz. And how will they meet the Great Oz in the Emerald City? Through the yellow brick road. Okay, so this particular entire paragraph, this two lines, this is very important. If you are listening, please mark it as important. Okay. "Why do you wish to see Oz?" asked Tin Man. So now the question arises out of curiosity. Now the Tin Man asks Dorothy that, or the Scarecrow, that why do you wish to see Oz? "I want him to send me back to Kansas, and Scarecrow wants Oz to give him some brains," she said. So Kansas, as I have told you, this is an imaginative and at the beginning of the story, I told you that Dorothy was driven away to a dream world due to some kind of storms. Okay, actually, Dorothy belonged to a place called Kansas, and his main intention to meet Great Oz was also this, because he wanted Great Oz to send him back to Kansas. Okay, so the real place from where she belonged to. So, Kansas is also, this entire line is important. Please mark it. I want him to send me back. Why? What was the real reason behind Dorothy and the Scarecrow to meet the Great Oz, to go to the Emerald City, to meet the Great Oz, to tell him to send him back to Kansas. Okay, so Kansas is probably the actual place from where Dorothy belonged. Okay, she was somehow by a storm shifted to a dreamy world. Okay, from there she wanted to return back to his own village, to his hometown, that is Kansas, and that is the only reason, the main purpose, to see the Great Oz, because after meeting the Great Oz, probably she is going to request the Great Oz to help him to go back to the place called Kansas. This was the main motive of Dorothy. Now let's see what Scarecrow wants from on Oz. Scarecrow wants Oz to gift him some brains. Okay, so as a scarecrow, he does not have a brain. So he, as I have told you, probably he was jealous of Dorothy that she has got a brain to think of something. So now the Scarecrow is going to Oz to gift him some brain. Okay, Tin Man thought for a few moments and said, "Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart?" Now the Tin Man is saying that I also need something. So do you really think that Oz has got the power to gift something to someone? "I guess so," answered Dorothy. It would be as to give the Scarecrow brains." "True," said Tin Man. "If you will allow me to join your party, I will go to the Emerald City and ask Oz for my wish." So now the Tin Man also wills to join them. He says that if you allow me to join your party, I will also go to the Emerald City and ask Oz for my wish. What was the wish that was made by the Tin Man? To give a heart. So the three wishes that you get, what are they? First, Dorothy, he wishes to go back to Kansas, his home place, his hometown, where his family member stays. Okay, he was driven away from Kansas by a storm, and that is what she is deprived of. She is deprived of her family, so she wants to go back to his own family, his hometown, of her hometown. Next, Scarecrow, she is actually going to Oz to meet the Great Oz to allow him to gift him some brains. And the Tin Man, his wish was to gift him a heart. Okay, so the three wishes that you have is a heart, a brain, and probably back to Kansas. Okay, so these are the three wishes by the three characters that you get in this particular story. "Come along," said Dorothy and Scarecrow cheerfully, and with that the three started marching towards the Emerald City. So this is how, and with the sole intention of getting a gift from the Oz, they marched towards the Emerald City. So that's all about the story. I will share a small cartoon video with you all. This will give you, and this will allow you to understand the story better manner. You might get some additional information there in the video. Do not be scared. Just follow the book and my instructions carefully. Whatever information is there in your book, you will only follow that. That is for your additional information, that particular video. Thank you.